Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm excited to share today's top stories with you. We're starting off with a significant development in international relations as the United States and Iran have engaged in talks mediated by Oman. The discussions, which took place in Muscat, focused on the Iranian nuclear program, with the U.S. delegation pushing for Tehran to rein in its ambitions. The Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, described the atmosphere as very positive and expressed hope that Washington would refrain from threats and pressure to allow the talks to continue. The U.S. president has made it clear that he wants the talks to lead to a comprehensive agreement that serves the interests of both parties and enhances security and stability in the region. However, the White House also announced new sanctions against shipping entities and vessels aimed at curbing Iran's oil exports, which could potentially impact trade with countries like China, Germany, and the United Arab Emirates. It's worth noting that the talks come after a period of heightened tensions between the two nations, including U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites in June 2025. The situation remains complex, with regional powers like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar urging restraint and calling for a return to diplomacy. As we continue to monitor this developing story, it's essential to consider the various perspectives and interests at play. We'll be keeping a close eye on any further developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into our second story of the day. Today, we're taking a closer look at the recent developments in Greenland, where two new consulates have been opened by Canada and France. This move is seen as a show of support for the local government, which has been facing pressure from the United States under President Donald Trump's administration. The opening of these consulates is a significant step as it marks a strengthening of ties between Greenland and other European countries, as well as Canada. According to experts, this development is not only a recognition of Greenland's growing autonomy, but also a way to diversify its dependence on the outside world, reducing its reliance solely on Denmark. We've spoken to several analysts who agree that the establishment of these consulates is a strategic move aimed at sending a message to President Trump that his aggression against Greenland and Denmark is not just a bilateral issue, but one that concerns European allies and Canada as well. As Arctic expert Ulrik Pram-Gad noted, it's a small step, part of a strategy where we are making this problem European. It's worth noting that Greenland has had diplomatic ties with the European Union since 1992, with Washington since 2014, and with Iceland since 2017. The United States had a consulate in the Greenlandic capital from 1940 to 1953, which was reopened in 2020. The European Commission also opened an office in 2024. As we continue to monitor this situation, it's clear that the opening of these consulates is just one part of a larger conversation about Greenland's future and its place in the global community. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. Welcome back to the closing segment of Barbara's Bulletin. As we conclude our program today, I want to take a moment to discuss a critical development in the Caribbean nation of Haiti. The country has entered a state of political limbo as the mandate of its Transitional Governing Council, known as the Transitional Presidential Council, or CPT, came to an end on February 7th without a clear succession plan in place. This council was established in April 2024, following the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, with the primary goal of addressing the rampant gang violence and paving the way for long-overdue elections. However, its tenure has been marked by a significant deterioration in security, corruption allegations, and intense political infighting. In recent days, there have been efforts to oust Prime Minister Alex Didier Falaise-Aimé, which have been met with resistance from the United States, the U.S., has not only expressed support for Prime Minister Phil May's leadership, but also imposed sanctions on several members of the CPT, underscoring its commitment to Haiti's security and stability. The presence of 3 U.S. warships in the Bay of Port-au-Prince further emphasizes this commitment, as stated by the U.S. Embassy. Despite broad agreement among Haiti's civil and political leaders that the CPT should step down, there is yet to be a consensus on what structure should replace it, with various proposals being discussed, but no agreed solution emerging. Haiti has been without an elected president since the assassination of Jovenel Moïse in 2021, and its last senator's terms expired over 3 years ago. The country's last elections were held in 2006, and the spread of armed groups across key areas has significantly complicated efforts to organize a free and fair vote. The humanitarian situation is also dire, with around 1.4 million people internally displaced as of October, according to UN data. This represents an increase of 1 million since the CPT began its mandate. The United Nations has approved an international security force aimed at helping local police restore security, but the deployment has been slow, with less than 1,000 troops on the ground. As Haiti navigates this critical juncture, it's essential for the international community to provide support while respecting the country's sovereignty and promoting democratic principles. The path forward will undoubtedly be challenging, requiring careful consideration and cooperation among all stakeholders involved. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.